Hi, this is Andrew with TFAW.com. We're here today with Andi Ewington, writer of the upcoming title 45 from Com.x, to talk to him about this unique project and the way it came about and what we can expect to see from it when it releases in a few months. Andi, thanks for being with us today.
Thanks for interviewing me.
So for those of our viewers who aren't familiar with Com.x or have not yet heard any of the hype about 45, why don't you give us a rundown of the premise behind 45 and what it took to bring it together?
45 is a series of interviews in transcript form of a journalist called James Stanley. Basically James and his wife are expecting a child, and he sets about a quest of trying to find out what to expect from a child if it's born with superpowers. So he starts a journey from birth to death and interviews a whole spectrum of superheroes. And it's during these interviews that he discovers lots of different sort of the social aspects that go beyond the stereotypical norm that you would expect from a superhero. It's also along the way that he inadvertently becomes the centre of attention from an agency called Exodus that starts to trail him as he goes through the interviews. It took a lot of hard work to bring 45 to fruition. Not only did I have to write and script and edit the text, but obviously when I started talking to Com.x, I had to control and bring in 45 artists. That in itself was an immense project. Really, I became a bit of a producer. I had to find new artists as well as seasoned veterans. So we had the likes of Liam Sharp, John Higgins, Sean Phillips coming to the table and getting very excited. And alongside them you had guys like Sean O'Connor and Ross Dearsley. So if you can imagine, it's hard enough to bring one artist in on time, but I had 45.
Now, did you know a lot of these artists going into this project, or how exactly did you manage to wrangle 45 artists all together and get them to work on one project and complete it in a timely fashion? Seems like something of a Herculean task.
It certainly was a difficult task and very daunting to begin with. Really, once I'd done my research and started sort of initiating conversations with the artists that I wanted to be involved with the project, I had to then convince them that 45 was something that they should be involved in. Once they started to read the transcripts, they could really see the potential of the project. Once I got some of the bigger names like Jock, Lee Garbett and Sean Phillips and Charlie Adlard on board, it became a lot easier. The newer artists would be more and more sort of willing to be involved, and it really snowballed from there.
I don't suppose you're going to tell us who the 45th artist is, will you?
No, but I can give you a bit of a clue. He's currently working on Batgirl for DC.
Then tell us a little more about your experience working with Com.x. I mean, this is a pretty ambitious project any way you look at it, and how's their support for it been?
Well, it's a difficult one for me to answer because I haven't worked with anybody else. This obviously being a debut writer, but from things going so far, it's been fantastic. They've been fully supportive of the project. They've been very enthused by it, giving advice upon the editing, through to suggestions for artists to be involved. I really couldn't have asked for a better publisher.
Even though 45 focuses on all these different superheroes as told through the perspective of James Stanley, it seems to me that what you've really done here, and rather smartly, is create the basis for a brand new universe. Are there any plans in the near future to explore any of the specific heroes or stories that you've introduced us to in 45?
Yeah, it's definitely something I want to do. I think there's plenty of scope for the world of 45. It's something I've talked about with Com.x, and in fact, quite recently, the opportunity for a one-shot has appeared with one of the characters, and I'm actually going to be co-writing it with Eddie Dayton from Com.x. And I'm very excited about this. It's my second book, so of course I'm just absolutely delighted that Com.x have picked this up. As for further development, I've talked to Com.x about it, and we're aiming to do an online poll on my blog for your favourite character, and basically all the readers can come on to the blog and vote for the favourite character, and hopefully Com.x will make a third book from it.
Now you mentioned this Nemesis Group, Exodus. Can you flesh that out a bit more for us? Is it rogue government agency, evil superheroes, some combination of the two?
Exodus is a government agency. They've been created by the US government, and really their main primary goal is to stockpile Super S characters and second degree characters. Basically, they don't want any other country, pretty much like nuclear weapons with the situation you have with North Korea and Iraq and Iran. They don't want any other country really to have Super S superheroes. So really, they're a bit ambiguous. Are they bad? Are they not? They're working in the United States' best interests, so it's really up to the reader to decide sort of where their morals lie.
Now, I don't want to get you in any trouble with any of the artists, so speaking specifically in regard to the writing and the development of the characters that you yourself did, are there any of the 45 characters we meet that were particular favorites of yours, or who, for lack of a better word, you had a closer affinity or fondness for than the others, and why?
This is a really tough one to answer. There's so many different characters, and I love them all for different reasons. But if you can sort of pin me down, there's Major Action. I love the fact that he's got such a gung-ho attitude and sort of recklessness towards civilians. There's Adam Brad, two twins from Auckland that they're in their teenage years, and all they want to do is horse around and just have a bachelor pad and just score with loads of girls and just have loads of booze. There's Heavy Duty, who's sort of a bit of an Iron Man sort of clone, where he's really sort of a mercenary, just follows the dollar, even to the point of putting sort of racing car sponsorship on his exosuit. There's just so many. Turncoat, he's another one. He's got a sort of a really cool ability to sort of replicate people with the power of shaking his hand. So obviously, at the end of the interview, hands out his hand to James, and James has to sit there and wonder whether to take it or not. So there's lots of different reasons why I love these characters, and hopefully the readers will resonate with one or two of them.
And there you have it, folks. Straight from the mouth of Andi Ewington, writer and creator of 45, the hot new title from Com.x. A great variety of reasons why you want to make sure and check out this book. You can pre-order it right now at tfaw.com. It's coming out on December 23rd. And if you can't quite wait for that, there's a variety of other great Com.x titles like Class War and Razorjack available. I want to thank Andi for taking the time to coordinate this interview with me across the ocean and across several weeks, as well as keeping it fun the entire time. And thank everybody over at Com.x for taking the time to coordinate this. Check in with us for our next interview, and as always, whatever you're into, we got just the thing for your collection. Catch you next time.